Hi, I'm Greg Uland with Reynolds, and this is Connected. We're at the NADA show in Las Vegas, and very excited to sit down with Tully Williams. Tully, if you don't know, then you've probably been hiding under a rock for a while, but he's the Fixed Ops Director at Niello Company in Sacramento, California. Tully, thanks so much for joining.
God, it's an honor to be here. Thank you so much for the invite. I sure appreciate it.
Absolutely. So Tully, you're all over LinkedIn. You're with Ted Ings quite a bit, so I see your face a lot. I hear you discussing things a lot, so I'm excited to talk with you. Before we get into some of these things, share with me a little bit about your background. You've been in the industry for a long time. You've seen a lot of different things, but tell me your kind of story and how you got here.
Great story. So I started in fixed ops. And in high school, my first job, I worked at an independent garage, and got into the General Motors ASEP program, which they had back then, and that was, a long time ago in the 80s.
Yeah.
I went through that program. I had dealer experience, worked for a Pontiac DeLorean dealer.
Nice.
Wow, pretty old. So then I branched off and started my own company, the Auto Clinic, which was a repair facility and tow truck operation. So we had 20 tow trucks and 8 techs.
Wow.
And, and I felt that experience helps me today because independent world is all about repeat and referral.
Yeah.
And when you're a dealership, you're like, okay, they're going to sell some more cars, so I get some more customers. It really realized that every customer is valuable.
Right.
And I really learned that. So then after that, worked at a couple dealerships, worked for my good friend that really gave me a big break was John Anderson at Courtesy Chevrolet. It was a big Chevy store, 40 techs. And that's really where I sunk myself in on the fix op side in the dealership world, for instance. And then I worked for my good friend Sean Del Grand at the DGG Group. And then ultimately I'm at the Niello Company, 102 years.
That's awesome.
Here's a great part about it. 1921, they started as a fixed ops for Packard Aero Service Center.
Really?
So I like to remind them that it started in fixed.
No, that's great. And 100. Anytime you get to 100 years as a company, it's
insane.
It's fun, isn't it? And you get to be a part of it. I'm sure. Did you guys do a big celebration?
We did. We had a year-long celebration and campaign. It was great, and it's it's really all about the people, right?
Right.
It's not. It is great to be 100 years for the Niello Company, but as Rick says, we're in the people business. It really was a huge win. And, tenure for us is a big deal.
Yeah.
And our oldest employee is a tech.
Oh, really?
Almost hitting 50 years.
That's amazing.
It's amazing. Our next oldest person is a parts manager, 48 years.
Wow.
So I love that tenure. Isn't it great?
Yeah, no, it is. So all your stores are in the Sacramento area?
Correct. One's in Elk Grove, 20 minutes down the road.
Yeah. So the company's grown over time. Has it expanded since you've been there, or have you been at
one? So we are very fortunate. So we are a luxury brand. So we do have the oldest Porsche dealer in the United States with the same dealer. Back when he got his Volkswagen store, they said, "Hey, Volkswagen, do you want to take this little brand here called Porsche and Audi?" And he said, "Sure, why not?" It was kind of an interesting story, but we did grow. We have a second point in Sacramento. We have 2 points in that market.
Yep.
We feel very, very blessed to have both those markets. So we have Porsche, 2 Porsche spots, 2 Jag Land Rovers, 2 BMWs, Acura, Volvo, Volkswagen, and Audi.
That's great.
That should make 10.
Yeah.
In a body shop.
So when you're comparing, a lot of experience, when you're comparing kind of mainstream service drives to a Highline service drive, what would you say are the biggest differences, or are there any? I mean, is it really
Great
the same
question.
thing?
So when I came from Sean's store, the Del Grand Dealer Group, that was more, Japanese imports, more mom and pops, I guess you would say, or blue collar. When I went to Highline stores, it's similar in a way, is that you're not selling menus in the driveway.
Yeah.
It's, they want to come in and sit down with you. A lot of them have the magic key. It kind of tells you what they need, right?
Sure.
But we also, I think what's unforgiving is mistakes. So unfortunately, when you have Highline cars, they expect more. I think we should expect that at a Yugo dealer. But, those people there expect a lot from us, and we need to deliver with that excellent service. And it starts by making sure you have the support and the right ratios of service writers. What happens in the Japanese, this guy's writing 40 ROs. I mean, I don't even know how he answers a phone.
Right.
8 to 12 ROs a day. And sometimes I think that's too much.
Right.
So we have that time for that customer to build that great relationship with our service advisors. So I think that's the biggest issue. So we don't write ROs in the driveway. We don't sell menus in the driveway.
Right.
They come in, they sit down, they chit chat. We ask about their dogs and cats, and and make them feel good, and and then we're off to go.
Yeah. So, do you really believe that the customers expect different things, or you're able to deliver it? And I ask that because I don't know that the consumer in general, right, necessarily has a lower expectation because they're in a fill in the blank. You said Japanese imports, so a Honda store, right, as an example. I would present that they probably have the same expectation. They just might not be as disappointed if it's not met.
I think you're spot on.
Okay.
I think that they're it's okay, right?
Yeah.
They're not used to having the Highline experience, and I would say Highline experience 100% done right.
Yeah.
And I believe in that, and that's a great segue into, how do we make sure our people are doing that job right?
Yeah.
By monitoring and metricing them. And I have televisions throughout our stores and websites for them to look at how they do every day to follow that procedure. They walk in, we take pictures of the car, we perform a tech inspection, we send a quote. The customer says yes or no, we send them a link to pay online. We have a flawless issue. And I think what happens a lot is that stores just say, yeah, we do that process 40% of the time.
Right.
We're 100% of the time.
Yeah.
I go crazy.
So how do you just mentioned some key points that you're looking at.
Yeah.
Are there specific metrics that you're looking for?
Very much so.
Okay. So
great example.
Yeah.
So as you know, most everybody knows me, I'm an hours freak. I only care about the technician's hours. So it starts there in my book.
Right.
Right. And when I look at success at a store, it's all about making sure our people are successful and they make more money for them and their families, right?
Yeah.
But it starts with making sure we have a technician base. And when you look at fixed ops, I don't care about the money. I'm going to say it one more time. I don't care about the money. I care about selling the hours. And if we focus on that hour of that technician, everything works better. So everybody's on the same page. For example, back in the day, parts departments and service departments, who's paying the freight? The part's not coming for 4 years, right? But if everybody knows that we care about selling 100% of our hours capacity, that means it's 9 hours or 10 hours a day per technician, not how many hours are there. That's what we want per day when they're there, right?
Yeah.
Only fair. And we know that is the focus, and it's on everybody's pay plan.
Right.
So let's talk about that. So we have a capacity of, say, 4,000 hours for that store based on the workflow of that store. It has a number of techs times 10 hours a day, boom, done. Parts manager, service manager, same pay plan. Hours forecast, gross profit. Hours forecast is the key. Service advisor, hours forecast, paid on the gross. Hours is the key.
Right.
All of our bonuses for our team leads and foremans, hours forecast, based on that. Parts counter people, hours forecast. Yes, I'm going to say it again, parts counter people. Took a little bit to get that done. But here's the deal. Now we're all focused on the same thing. So now a parts counter person is doing what? Get that part to the tech. Let's go. We're not congregating at the back counter. Some of them don't even have back counters anymore.
Yeah.
It's a window.
Right.
It doesn't even open. So I think that getting everybody on the same page delivers what we want. So now when we have the hours forecast built in, guess what we start doing? We want to check in the customer. We walk out to the car and take pictures to protect the dealer mainly.
Right.
Let's just be honest. The next piece is that 100% cars are inspected. 100%. 1 mile, million miles is getting inspected. And I pay the technician. Yes, I pay the technician a half an hour to do the inspection and video. Half an hour. But they're doing a video and an inspection.
Okay.
And here's the thing about that. Tell you, well, God, you're charging too much money for the tech. I disagree. I mean, I wish I could pay more because happy techs make you money. 2 is I'm paying them. Guess what I get to do? I have expectations I can hold them accountable to. Yeah. So what we look at on our inspections is that we want to make sure that the tech recs per car on a mileage band is correct. Over or under recommending is horrible.
Right.
And I like to say we sell recommendations, we'd sell our family members. So would you sell it to your family member? No, the market is agreeing.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, it is what it is.
Sure.
So making sure we have honesty and integrity there. So that's the key first person. We're doing the recommendations properly, right? And then the next piece is that did we take a video of every car? When you look at the video,
do you have the techs do that?
Techs do that.
Okay.
And that's part of their half an hour.
Right.
So when we first started it, you have technicians that think they're Steven Spielberg. The thing would run like 4 minutes. Like, dude, what are you doing?
Yeah.
And by year 2, I would say, or maybe year 1, year and a half, is that we used to have contests. And then what we found out is a video that's probably 30 seconds to 45 seconds is the right one. Hello, I'm Mr. Technician Tully Williams.
Yeah.
Thank you for coming into Niello Acura today. I'll be doing the inspection. I noticed that underneath the car, and they show the underneath the car, your brakes are at blank, your tires are at blank. I noticed some other items that I think need immediate attention. Our service advisor will get back to you. You should get a text message pretty shortly. Thank you for coming into Niello Acura today.
Yeah.
And it really made our show rate much better. Now we mandate all pictures of anything red.
Yep.
We like yellows too, but really red is mandatory. So we got to make sure we're doing that inspection properly so we have the opportunity to sell it. The next piece is, are we getting the parts quote in time? Well, it's back there for 4 hours. 7 minutes. I'm going to say it one more time. 7 minutes it takes me for get parts quotes on all of our recommendations. Why? Because they want the tech to produce hours, so I get a bonus.
Right.
God bless America.
Yep.
And then, of course, did we send it to the customer? Oh, my God. I mean, that was probably the hardest one to get done. Well, the customer's right over there. Send them the thing so he can look at it, right? So we are, when you look at those metrics, we're 99 to 94. I'll be truthful. 97 to 99%, and sometimes 100 at all stores for those processes.
That's great.
And then the final thing is we showed the results of all this great hard work. How did we do? I call same-day selling, but it's really same-visit selling.
Right.
Is that I track those on 12 categories. And what are we doing? Are we selling brakes? Are we selling tires? Are we selling oil leaks? Are we selling, right? So now we sell 53% of everything we ask for. One starts with recommendations we'd sell our family members.
Right.
Two is that we are doing it in a process where the customer can see all those things, because the trust factor now is, okay, I see why I need it. Do I have time or money to fix it?
Right.
And that's what it boils down to. Right?
Yeah.
Money is easier to resolve. Credit cards, we have Sunbit and all those products.
Sure.
Do that.
Yeah.
And then, but time is always usually the hardest part. Parts delays from the manufacturers. It is what it is. But now we're focused all on that. So now when we start selling, we're selling at 50%. Guess what we get to tell the technician? Because of your hard work, you sold 40% of all your hours were from your great recommendations.
Yep.
And now, like, really? Yeah.
Right.
So guess what happens? They're bought in.
Yeah.
And now these guys go home, as I like to say, rich and tired every day.
Yeah. So a couple things I wanted to double click on there.
Yeah.
The first one, going all the way back. Well, maybe this one's easier. So 30-second video.
Yeah.
Or 40-second video.
Yep.
How did you land on that? You said that that's the best. How do you know?
So great question on that. So we have, I love contests that drive behaviors, not just you're the best person ever, I'll give you money, right? So we did some tech contests, and we've done it 3 times, and the top prize is $2,000.
Okay.
And you're like, well, tell you it's a lot of money.
Right.
Really? The technician produces $30,000 to $40,000 a month, and you can't spare $2,000.
Yeah.
If you guy, if it's a sales department and they sold a widget, they get $2,000, right? Let's just be honest about it, right? So, but here we go, is that the contest drove that out. And we saw what really worked, and we had a lot of people look at our videos. So the time we had our 3rd contest, we all service managers agreed, like we looked at 40 or 50, because we would have a winner per week, and then the winner per week would be submitted to the pile. So then in theory, I had 4 videos per store.
Right.
I have 10 stores, 40 videos to look at. And we looked at, we're all like, wow, this is a good video. That's too much. And then it comes down to where it's just the easy stuff. Building that confidence with, that's my technician saying my car is great, or my technician says I need immediate attention. Yeah. Immediate attention is better. Like, you got some reds and yellows, the guy will call you. Yeah. Or they go off on a tangent about what brake pads do. I don't think people really want to know that. I think they just want to know quick and easy. They can look on their cell phone and say, you know what, I need to take a look at that. And my technician said yes. Yeah, when you looked at it, you were saying earlier that you're a data guy. Did you look at any metrics like closing ratio or views or percent to completion on the view? Were there any of those things that you looked at when you were evaluating? Great question. So when we looked at our views on the videos, what we found is that the shorter the video, the more views, and they made it through the end. Okay. When a technician got a little techie, off they went. Yeah. So our goal is that we really wanted a super high, because we're spending a lot of money on these videos, right? We want to make sure we get a value, and we really saw our look rate go up rocket high when we dialed it all in. And here's the deal: technicians like it better too, anyways. Yeah. Some of them are little techies. They got a little workaround, but now we look at it. So if we see one that's too long, the service guy can say, "Hey, we need to redo that one again." Yeah. Well, why should I do that? I paid you half an hour. Please do it again. Yeah. I'm just trying to sell the great recommendations we'd sell our family members. That's all I'm trying to do. Right. No, that's good. All right. So the second thing to circle back on, and this was kind of in the beginning when you were talking there, you were talking about, making sure that the technician gets 9 to 10 hours, depending on how long they're there for the day. Yep. How many bays per tech do you have? So we look at, that's a great question. So most of our stores are maxed out. We do have one store that has some empty bays. It's an area that's growing, so we're going to grow into it. If you're a store, it's 1-to-1. But if you're producing 400 hours a month, I'll give you 2. Yeah. 400 hours is a lot. Yeah. And our number one technician last year, and he's an anomaly, but it's good to say it, 5,600 hours last year.
Wow.
5,600.
Yeah.
And you got to look at it, if you just did 8 hours a day, you're under 2,000.
Right.
So, so that guy deserves 2 stalls,
Yeah.
right? And then I think that when you look at our foremans, they have a stall, usually doesn't have a rack in it. And if you have a heavy duty guy, maybe they share a stall in the middle, but our goal is 1-to-1.
Okay.
Because if we are doing a good job and we are busy, we're not going to add on to the dealership to put stalls, unfortunately.
Right.
We just got to maximize our stalls. And just thinking through that question is that then if we did a better process on doing the video, getting it to the customer quickly, as I like to say, the best car to work on is the car on the rack, not the parking lot. And then we can get our customers to say yes faster, which keeps them in their stall, which makes them more productivity, which they make more money for them and their family. God bless America.
Yeah. No, that's good. And where I was kind of going with the question, so I don't know if you've tried this before, if you've seen other dealerships do it, but if you have, on average, 1.25 or 1.5 bays per tech, can they be more productive, right? You think about 9 to 10 hours a tech, should it be 9 to 10 hours a bay, right? And if you can get more out of each tech, so they're doing, 11 hours or 12 hours in a day, if they're good enough, if they're productive enough. Do you have experience there?
So here's what I think about that. I look at the tech, I look at the human more than the shop. And some people probably disagree with me, that's fine. But if I believe that if I can get, and I make my techs the most successful they can be, I want to make sure I have enough hours for all of my techs before I hire another one.
Yeah.
And the only way you're going to grow in fixed ops is hire another tech. You can't raise the door rate to make you more money.
Right.
The days of, your budget this year is 1.1% of last year. That's the stupidest thing on the planet, right? But our goal is that if we're going to grow our stores, we have to grow it. So getting back to your question is that if I believe in the hours of my technicians, I should know what my profitability at my store is if we want to talk about money, which I don't like to talk about.
Sure.
But my goal is that then I can say, okay, for you to get to where you want to be, Mr. General Manager, usually, is that we need to have 14 techs and we have 10. They're running at 130%. They're making 14 hours a day every day of their life. Great job. Are you feeling that you have the capacity to add another tech? Because you do have an extra stall or two.
Sure.
And yes, we do. We're backlogged 2 weeks. Hire a tech. Because what happens is that if I flood the store with more techs, we'll tell you you got all these hours. But then all of a sudden now my techs went from 14 to 10.
Right.
And people say 10's a great number. Not for them, it isn't.
Well, yeah, if they were
so
doing
our
14,
goal is that, I believe that, employee satisfaction is much more critical because CSI really stands for Customer Supplies Income. It starts with the humans at your store.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's a good point. So let's go down that path a little bit, talking about, CSI and talking about the customer score, right?
Yep.
And the impact that the employee has on it. I give the analogy all the time. I worked retail for a long time. I grew up in an auto parts store, like a retail parts store.
Yep.
And there were so many times when I'd sit there behind the counter, or you'd stand there behind the counter, and I had the phone here, and I had 3 people in front of me, and you're trying to make them all happy, and it's impossible. You don't have the tools, you don't have the ability to serve everybody at the same time. So then everybody gets a little frustrated. You're speeding through, not providing a great experience.
Correct.
So talk about that a little bit, and the correlation between customer experience and your employee experience.
I love how you said that. So, I believe employee satisfaction is first. And to your point, when you overwork employees, what happens? They don't sell anything.
Yeah.
They're cranky. Your CSI drops. So the way I keep that in check is I use ratios.
Okay.
The number of technicians to a service advisor, 3 to 1. Why do I say 3 to 1? It's 30 hours every day of their life. If you're running at 150%, I'm just using that number because it's easy math for me, that's 15 hours per tech. 15 times 3 is 45 every day of your life. So our goal is that I use 3 at 100%. So if we're running higher, the ratio goes down.
Sure.
So now maybe it's 1 rider through 2.5 techs. But that ensures that we make sure that we have enough people to write the ROs and provide that great customer service that we expect.
Yeah.
Because you can't do that with 40 ROs a day. I think 8 to 10 is the number. We have some superstars that maybe do 12 to 14, but they're anomalies, but that's okay. But if we notice that when people suffer, we say, hey, why don't you just write 6 for a while? You can make a good living if you sell well.
Right.
Things that we'd recommend our family members. You can make a good living by just doing 6.
Yeah.
And then they get good at 6, then we bump them to 8. But that is the key issue, and that actually comes to back counter people. So we look at techs to back counter people, 5 to 1.
Okay.
Jag Landwehr, we like them to be a little heavy just because there's a lot of parts complexities. But our goal is that if we use those ratios, I do that with porters, I do that with the counter people, and I do that with writers, because now as we grow the technicians, what do we want to do? We have to grow our personnel to support our technicians to make sure we provide that great customer satisfaction in the service drive.
You're right.
So really making sure we have enough people is critical for us.
Yeah.
Ratios resolves that. So you don't get, because HR people are like, well, do we really need to hire this person? If we're going to provide great customer satisfaction, we all believe the ratios work. Why are you asking me the question?
Yeah. Yeah, we already made this decision.
We made the decision already. Yeah. It's kind of like, with tech raises, right? We like to put our tech raises, and I'll give Ed Roberts a huge shout out for that. He said, I didn't do it very well. He does it extremely well. And I mirrored him, a couple of years ago, and I have my tech paths in writing. So it's just like my ratios. The tech comes, I want to raise. So I opened up the brochure and like, where are you?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm right here. Great. So if you want to raise, you need to do blank. Yeah. Great. Great conversation.
Yeah. No, that's good. Expectations matter.
100%.
They really do.
Yep.
Good. So another thing that kind of sparked my interest, you were talking about, when you were talking about videos, you're talking about the technician doing a good video, the advisor obviously sending it to the customer, regardless whether they're sitting in the waiting room or 100%
they're off at work,
of the time.
Doesn't
Doesn't matter. You send them the video.
Yep.
Everybody's not going to buy, though. Right?
Correct.
Like, it's not going to happen.
No.
What'd you say, 50%?
We're 53%.
53%. Okay. So 47% of the time, that customer's going to walk out with something that still needs done on their car.
Correct.
Right? And you're going to follow up with them, and some percentage of those, I don't know what yours is, usually it's somewhere between 4 and 8%, are going to come back.
Correct.
When they come back, and this I think is extremely important, so I'm curious how you handle it. I believe that you have to get that work. It's imperative you get that work to the technician that found it, because there's nothing more demeaning to a tech than they spend the time, they do a good inspection, they do a good video, for crying out loud, and then 2 weeks later they see that same vehicle on the rack
They
next
call
to
it
them.
stealing.
Yeah, absolutely. So how do you manage that? Because it's not an easy thing to master.
So we believe it should go back to the tech that diagnosed 100%, unless there is an issue where there's a time constraint, he's buried in something, and he has to, he can't work on it.
Right.
But we'll tell him what's going on.
Sure.
Does he want to hang out or come in early? God bless America. So, but when the customer comes back, it goes back to the same writer, right? We have all the data on our NPI program to know what happened before. The technician sees it. We do another inspection. Oh yes, yeah. We do another inspection for a half an hour. Oh my God, Tully, you're spending too much money. No, I'm not. But then they get back, so then he can, that writer says, hey, a person came back and sold blank. We'll give it back, give it back to the tech, or if it's team lead or dispatch, whatever the store is doing at this time. But we want it to go back 100%. And the only time it wouldn't go back is that he's not there, or he's doing a hot potato that he needs to do first, and we got to get this hot potato done.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then sometimes the tech, the person will say, hey, I want my, we do it. So that tech's working on something, won't be done tomorrow. The first thing they ask for is rental car, which, loaner car, which we do, that's what we do. And then, I'm okay for tomorrow. God bless America.
Yeah.
Tech wins, customer's happy, everybody's happy.
Yeah. No, that's great.
Yeah.
So I got to ask you, Tully, you're clearly extremely passionate about this, right? And you're high energy, and I love that. You've been doing this for a while. Why? What drives you to be so excited and so passionate about, driving your stores, driving your techs, driving your people? What do you love about it?
So I love happy. And I think that I don't want it kicked in. I mean, when I had my independent store, we were really family oriented there.
Sure.
We eat lunch together, and and I think that probably brought it out. And then my first big job with John Anderson's Courtesy Chevrolet, I probably wasn't as energetic as I am now.
Yeah.
And it wasn't. I didn't feel like the enthusiasm was there. And then as I went into the Del Gang dealer group, is that I found that if I am positive,
yep,
people respond positive.
Sure.
So you'll never hear me talk negative in front of a crowd, ever. So if you want me to do a job, a review on somebody, if it's all F's, I'm going to find an A somewhere in it.
Yeah.
Your hair is unbelievably great. And boy, it's great outside, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like, wait a minute, this is supposed to be, a bad meeting.
Right.
So I think that I get more from being positive. Now, do we have to have uncomfortable conversations?
Well,
yes,
sure.
we do.
Yeah.
But that's what the manager's job is. I feel and my job as a leader is to promote fixed ops and make everybody successful and show them on a daily basis how successful they are. And that's where data comes in, and our TVs, push that data out so they can say, hey, look at me, I'm number one or number two, or I'm green.
Yeah.
And I'm doing a great job, and I'm making money for me and my family. To me, that's the win.
Yeah.
Positivity works. That's the reason I think employee satisfaction is so much more important than customer satisfaction. It follows suit.
Yeah, no, that's great. That's great. All right, well, Tully, this has been a great conversation. I really appreciate it. We kind of went all over the place.
It was a lot of fun.
I appreciate it. Anything we didn't talk about that we should while we still have time, or anything that's top of mind
I really encourage people to not look at old matrix.
Yeah.
Hours per hour should be a dirty word. Look at selling your capacity. And if you look at selling your capacity, you'll be successful.
No, that's great. Great advice. Well, Tully Williams, Fixed Ops Director at Niello Company, thank you so much for joining me today.
Appreciate it very much.